Hi everyone, the Pisces woman. The line forms to the right, and please don't crowd. There may not be enough Pisces women for every man, but that's no reason to be unruly. You'll have to take your turn and hope for the best. Even without astrology, rumors have spread about the charms of a Pisces female. She has her negative points, to be sure, but at first glance, she's every man's grade school Valentine. It's hardly surprising that she's at a premium. The Neptune female seldom tries to overshadow her man, married or single. She has not the slightest hidden neurotic desire to dominate him in any way. All she wants is that he should protect her and care for her. She is happily content to lean on his big, broad shoulder and let him know with wide eyed wonder how strong he is and how much she needs him in this scary world. And you wonder why she is so popular? The Pisces girl is a cozy, calm haven of tranquility for her proud male. A short conversation with her and a man instantly relaxes. He pictures a glowing, crackling fire on a chilly night, or he sees himself in a hammock on a balmy spring day with no one to nag him. She makes it clear that she'll never blame him for any problems in his career or any accidental mistakes. It's always someone else's fault, not her man's. She'll never press him to get ahead faster. His own pace is perfect with her. Like the March winds, your Pisces girl will have many a mood. She's terribly sentimental, and when her feelings are wounded, she can cry buckets. She'll look at you so reproachfully, you'll feel as if you've just shot a small rabbit. Female fish are the greatest women in the world for understanding the shyness of small boys and the growing pains of awkward adolescent girls. A Pisces girl will give all of her heart to her children. She'll sacrifice anything so her children can have what she was denied as a child. She may be too permissive. Administering discipline is difficult for her, and she must realize that a lack of firmness is often as bad as severe neglect. A Pisces woman will gladly let you earn the bacon and eggplant. She'll probably prefer not to enter the brutal competition of the commercial world unless you desperately need her to. She had enough of that when she worked for that big confusing company while she was waiting for you to rescue her. She may need some help figuring out why the bank's balance doesn't reconcile with her stubs, written in Sanskrit. Still, when an emergency forces her to adapt her champagne taste to a skimble pocketbook, she'll manage. She listens to the ocean and it tells her things. In the midst of the city, she still hears the waves of Neptune whispering to her Pisces heart more, perhaps than she wants to know. Don't forget her birthday or your anniversary or the day you propose. She won't. The chicks who were lying around getting tan had wet, stringy hair from swimming, and they looked all hot and sweaty on the beaches. You were sitting there under that tree in a white lace dress, and you looked so cool and different from the others. You looked like, well, I guess you sorta looked like a girl. That's the subtle secret of the Pisces woman. Whether she follows Neptune's call as a dedicated nun in a convent or as a sultry songstress in a noisy nightclub, she's a girl, all girl, 100%. Thank you so much for listening. Do subscribe and share. Welcome, everyone. Let's talk about the Pisces boss. Here is a sample conversation in an office about a typical Pisces executive. What's the name of that new boss the firm hired last week? You mean the one who took his coffee break with us yesterday? No, the one who left this morning. With only slight exaggeration, that's about the normal length of time the average Piscean will remain in an executive position. The great majority of Neptune's children prefer to swim alone, unconfined, as writers, salesmen, creative artists, or actors. However, there are a few areas where he can apply his talents and make himself an indispensable boss. He has top qualifications for radio stations, TV networks, advertising, and public relations outfits. Running any of these operations, he'll go around happily dispensing creative ideas from his superabundant fountain of imagination. Pisces sees no reason to blurt out the plain and often brutal truth as certain other sun signs do. Unlike Gemini, Sagittarius, and Scorpio, the fish prefers not to tell it like it is. He would rather tell people what he thinks will have the best effect on them in the long run, or what they want to hear. It's not because he's dishonest, he's learned through bitter experience that society does not want to hear the cold and naked truth. He's a superlative director of stage and screen, also a capable producer. He can run a dance studio like a dream. As the head of a detective or research bureau, his uncanny, psychic ability to penetrate mystery leads him straight to the top of the heap. Lots of travel agencies have Pisces executives, and they are usually tremendously successful. He's often found as the head of a charitable organization. Many fish happily lead orchestras or bands and keep rehearsals running smoothly. They can run a progressive publishing company, magazine, or newspaper competently, even brilliantly. If your boss was born in March, he may be the type to behave like a crosspatch when he's irritated by something. He has a gift of words, and it can be very caustic brusqueness that can scald a little, but he'll seldom be aggressively domineering or truly mean and petty. One minute he may shock you with his unconventional ideas. Then he'll do a rather slippery turnabout and appear to be a conformist. You'll eventually catch on that he's neither a great liberal nor a cautious conservative. On different occasions, he takes either view to find out what your ideas are. He can be, in other words, a mite tricky. When he finds your ideas and your conversation interesting, your Pisces boss will listen with flattering concentration, silently and sincerely, maybe even offer you a glass of sherry to create a relaxed atmosphere. If he finds what you say boring, his mind will wander. He'll probably daydream about far off people and places while you're talking, carefully keeping a fixed smile on his face. Since every one of them is a born actor, you'll think he's being attentive. But after a certain period, he'll get tired of his mental wanderings, notice that you are still babbling away, and suddenly interrupt. Then he'll do the talking and you'll do the listening. Sometimes for hours and hours and hours. He may be well traveled, and if he isn't, he'll soon make up for the lost time. Like the Sagittarian and Geminian boss, the Pisces executive will keep a packed suitcase behind the couch in his office. If not, he should. Why don't you suggest it to him? He'll probably think it's a splendid idea. Be nice to his wives. I mean, his wife. His wife is probably a nice, sensible, practical girl. If she were as imaginative and original as her husband, they would likely both drown together in an ocean of misty dreams and fancies. The Piscean executive is somewhat partial to the creative thinkers in his farm. In his firm. If you tend more toward caution than imaginative strategy, you may not get as many glasses of sherry or as many comradely smiles, but you probably won't get fired. He may enjoy the others more, but he needs you. He leans on your practical approach and your organizational ability. Discretion and conservatism aren't his greatest assets, and he's clearly aware of his deficiencies. He can always find another daring, enthusiastic dreamer when business picks up, but when the profits dip a little, he can't afford to be without the workers whose noses are worn down by the grindstone. Meanwhile, he figures he'll take care of the daring, enthusiastic dreams department himself until things get better and he can put some more compatible blue sky people on the payroll. Remember, he lives in two different worlds. Such a division of nature can cause a confused personality, but it can just as easily cause brilliance. His thoughts may be as abstract and deep as Piscean's Einstein's, who once said, God doesn't throw dice. Einstein meant that the law of mathematical probability isn't necessarily sacrosanct. Your Neptune boss feels the same way about accepted business procedures, and time usually proves his first instincts are right, no matter how visionary they may sound when he expresses them. He's a mystic at heart, a secret believer in the unseen and the supernatural, though he may be a little bashful about it. He won't practice voodoo at his desk or meditate in the lotus position at the water cooler because he fears ridicule if people discover the undercurrent of his psychic vibrations. But they find out anyway, for all his clever playing of the role of tough realist. The gypsy who read his fortune one day by the lines in his hand could have told you. She noticed right away that he has a rare mark on his palm, which means he's a compassionate genius. There aren't very many of them around. That's why he's a rare fish. Thank you for listening. Do subscribe and share. Welcome everyone. The Pisces man. So if you happen to have your birthday between February 20th through March 20th, then you are a Pisces. A Pisces man can be everything you want him to be, or everything you don't want him to be. A tide in his affairs is synonymous with opportunity. It requires a firm decision, determined action, and the ability to drown any old soggy dreams that prevent success. The Pisces man isn't weak. However, if, say, by the age of 25 or so, he hasn't recognized that tide in his affairs, frankly, his future isn't too hopeful. You think that's unfair? Alright, make it by the age of 35. But you are gambling. When I said his future isn't too hopeful, I meant with you. As a wife with a family routine, his personal future can be more or less satisfactory. Lots of Pisces men who can't bury stale dreams and dig up fresh ideas for success live fairly contented lives. That's because all they need is that dream, rusty as it is around the edges. Add a jug of wine, a loaf of good rye bread, and he's as happy as most of us other misfits. You notice I stopped short of one item. It's a loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thou. Right? I'm glad you're up on the rubaiyat. But you see, I left thou out on purpose. The dreamy, sensitive, artistic fish can exist nicely on bread and wine, even thrive on it. But such a diet won't feed a wife. 1 to 5 little bundles of joy, and who knows, maybe even some goldfish and guppies. You need things like stockings and cosmetics and shoes and spinach and rent money and celery and milk and light bulbs, and well, you know what I mean. Now, I didn't say you wouldn't be happy in the romantic hours. That's one thing no kind of Pisces ever born will ever be short of: romance. They fairly breathe it. It's just that it's no substitute for spinach and baby shoes or your sanity. You have to admit, it just won't work. Better say farewell to him right now. You'll cry a little and it may hurt, even deeply, but not as much as being married to a walking, talking dream and having to face the landlord with nothing but empty wishes in your pocketbook. That really hurts. A Pisces man has no prejudices. He'll never judge an Indian until he's walked a few miles in his moccasins. Even then, he'll understand and not pass critical judgment. He's very short on cold accusations and very long on warm tolerance. The Neptune male, well, Neptune, like the people born under this sign, are referred to. The Neptune male possesses a rare sympathy of spirit. His friends confide in him and never worry that he'll be shocked. It takes a real blockbuster to shock the fish. An occasional Pisces who is the victim of an afflicted Mercury talks very fast, fluently, and frequently. But the typical Neptunian speaks slowly, thinks gently, and tries to mind his own business, even though he is continually subjected to the problems of friends, relatives, and neighbors. They flock to him because Neptune listens so beautifully. You'll find yourself tempted to confide your own little worries with a broken hair dryer, your father's sinus problems, or your overdrawn bank balance. But try to go easy. He needs some relief when he's with you. People don't mean to impose on Pisces. They seldom realize that the Neptune nature is so receptive, it just soaks up all the vibrations around, good or bad, joyful or fearful, dark or light. The very fact that he's sensitive means that he vividly feels the emotions of those who seek his ear and get his heart. Pisces people often have to rest for long periods. The Neptune soul must be alone at times so fresh breezes can blow through to heal the wounds of all those vicarious troubles and bring back calm, undefiled individuality. So never begrudge your Pisces man his moments of silence. He sorely needs them. If he feels like being alone or taking a walk by himself, let him go. Too much togetherness can spoil the beauty of Pisces love. It needs space to grow untangled. There won't be many tremendous surges of jealousy in a typical Pisces man. Or if there are, he's such an excellent natural actor that he'll probably pretend them away. But he's a man, for all his poetic, tender nature, so he'll expect your technical loyalty when everything is said and done. You may have to control your own jealousy, however, because he'll have warm friends of both sexes and he'll be sympathetic to them, sometimes at odd hours. It's his nature to be gregarious. He can't help it. There's danger here if you're the violently possessive type. He does admire beauty and he may stare at pretty legs from time to time. But you can keep that in bounds and innocent with a little extra effort. And your reward will be a gentle husband who's both a romantic lover and a companion who can talk about everything under the sun. And moreover, you know what? The children will find him one whale of a lot of fun. He may sprinkle them with a little way out philosophy, sing them mildly salty ballads, or teach them to stand on their heads, yoga style. They'll probably adore him. And they just may turn out to be well balanced, well adjusted adults. Never treat on this man's dreams. He won't forgive that or forget it. Give him a chance to turn them into realities by helping him find a good firm star to hitch his wagon. One that will sparkle instead of fizzing out in an eclipse of common sense. In love, Pisces is a leaner emotionally, which means he needs boundless reassurance and faith, but it also means that you mustn't lean on him with imaginary complaints. His enthusiastic hopes needs to be watered with understanding affection and make sure you supply the rich soil of a happy home life. Keep the deadly insects of nagging and criticism away from the roots, and someday those wild and crazy hopes of his will change from useless weeds into tall money trees in the backyard, high enough to reach a few of your own private dreams. Hope springs eternal in the Piscean heart. Don't knock it. It may shower you with some gigantic and surprising luck if you nurture it tenderly. Thank you so much for listening.